Assalamu alaikum. This lecture is about existentialism and the theater of absurd. The two, the philosophy and a theater of specific kind of plays, absurd plays. So let's see what existentialism is. Existentialism is a philosophy, or you can say is a philosophical movement that was initiated by Danish philosopher Soren Kierkegaard in the mid 19th century. So always remember that it was Soren Kierkegaard, first of all, who initiated this theory, who initiated this philosophy, and it was in the mid 19th century. Okay, this theory or this philosophy was first of all proposed in the mid 19th century by the Danish philosopher Soren Kierkegaard. Okay, and the term existentialism was coined by French philosopher Gabriel Marcel in the mid 1940s. Okay, the theory or the philosophy was initiated or proposed in the mid 19th century. Okay, and the term was coined in the mid 1940s. Okay, and this theory or this philosophy is considered as the philosophy of life. Existentialism is considered as the philosophy of life. This existentialism deals with, or it is concerned with the analysis of human existence in the world. It is obvious from the very word existentialism that the root word is existence here. So it means that this philosophy is all about existence. Okay, whose existence? Human existence in the world. And what are the views of existentialist philosophers about the human existence in the world? You will get to know in this lecture. They say, or the existentialist philosophers say, there are so many existentialist philosophers, like there Friedrich Nietzsche, there Albert Camus, Jean-Paul Sartre, or Soren Kierkegaard. So they believe that human existence is purposeless. According to the existentialist philosophers and according to the philosophy existentialism, the human existence in this world is meaningless. There is no meaning of life. It simply means that life is meaningless. If they say that human existence is purposeless, it means that life is meaningless. There is no meaning of life in this world, according to the existentialist philosophers. Soren Kierkegaard, the one who initiated this philosophy, said that each individual, not society or religion, is solely responsible for giving meaning to life and living it passionately and sincerely or authentically. According to Soren Kierkegaard, there is no meaning of life, okay, and each individual is responsible for giving meaning to life. He means to say that there is no meaning of life, and it is the responsibility of that individual to give meaning to his life according to his own wish, according to his own will, or however he wants. Okay, he means to say that it is not the society or it is not the religion that will decide how to live our life, or that will give meaning to our life. No, it's not the case. According to Soren Kierkegaard, we have to give meaning to our life ourselves, the way we want. Okay, according to Soren Kierkegaard, it is not the duty or it is not the responsibility of the society or religion. It is the responsibility of the individual to give meaning to his life, or to give purpose to his life, or to set a goal or to set a purpose for his life. And according to this existentialist philosophers, most of them are atheists. Okay, like Jean-Paul Sartre, Albert Camus, and some other, you will see the name in this lecture. According to them, there is no God in the world, and according to them, there is no religion. There are no rules and regulations to follow in this world. According to them, there is no God, there is no religion, there is no rule, there are no regulations to follow to live one's life. Okay, and they say that man is alone in a godless universe. According to them, there is no God in the world. It simply means that they are atheists. Okay, and it is the belief of atheists that there is no God in the world. So they say that man is alone in a godless universe. So this was somehow their slogan. There was one more, that God is dead. It was a German philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche, who said that God is dead. So these were their famous slogans, that man is alone in a godless universe, or God is dead. Okay, so they were atheists, and these were their slogans. And with the help of these slogans, they said that since there is no God, since there is no religion, since there is no rule, so it is the responsibility of the individual, the very individual, to give meaning to his or her own life, or to set a goal, to set a purpose for his own life the way he or she wants. So according to them, there is no God in the world, and according to them, this world or this life is meaningless. This life is purposeless. They say that man is searching for meaning in a meaningless world. So they mean to say that this life is purposeless, this human existence is meaningless, and this world is meaningless, and they do not believe in the life hereafter. So they say that since there is no God, no religion, no rule, no regulations, no set of beliefs to follow in this world, so man is alone in such kind of world, and in a world that is meaningless. This theory, as I said in the beginning, that it was developed by Kierkegaard in the mid 19th century, but it was a French philosopher, Jean-Paul Sartre, who popularized this philosophy, existentialism, during the post-war period. Okay, during the post-World War II period. And this theory became popular after the terrible years of World War II. How it became popular after World War II, though it was initiated in the mid 19th century, it means that it became popular almost after 100 years of its proposal, its beginning. Okay, Kierkegaard proposed this philosophy almost 100 years ago, and later, 100 years later, this theory became popular with the hands of a French philosopher, Jean-Paul Sartre. So how it became popular? It was just because of World War II. It is obvious, it is crystal clear, and it is a common knowledge that what happened in World War II. Almost 60 to 70 million people lost their lives in World War II, and hundreds of millions of people suffered due to World War II. Okay, so due to all these terrible years, 6 years of World War II, and this millions of deaths and millions of people suffering from such kind of atrocities and such kind of barbarism in World War II, these people the people started asking question. They started asking about the existence of God. They asked that where is God, or where was God when all these atrocities, when all this barbarism was happening with the people, when these millions of people were suffering. Where was God at that time, or what was God doing at that time? Why didn't God save people from such kind of sufferings, from deaths, or from or why didn't God save these millions of people from dying? Okay, so this was their belief, and that's how they started like believing on this theory, existentialism, and they started asking questions about the existence of God. Okay, they started asking questions about the beliefs. They started asking questions about the existence and about the meaning of this existence in the world. Okay, so according to this existentialism theory proposed 100 years before World War II, uh, that life is meaningless, human existence is meaningless, purposeless, and there is no purpose of life, and there is no God, and there is no rule and regulation, there is no religion. So the situations or the happenings in the World War II and after World War II gave rise to this existentialism and gave popularity to this existentialism, and people had strong belief in existentialism, and they started having doubts about the existence of God, and they started having doubts about the meaning and the purpose or the goal of life in this world. So this is how this philosophy got very famous, got very popular after World War II, with the hands of Jean-Paul Sartre, with the help of his plays and novels. Okay, so this was all about existentialism, that how it was proposed, and what is the gist of existentialism, and that is that there is no God in the world, there is no religion, there is no rule to follow, and life is meaningless. Human existence is meaningless, purposeless, and there is no meaning of life. That is the gist of existentialism. Now let's come to the next one, that is the theater of the absurd. What is the theater of the absurd? Or this term or this terminology or this phrase is applied to the plays or dramas that were written in the post-war period, and such kind of dramas, they focused on the philosophy of existentialism and absurdity. So it means that the plays or the dramas that were written in the post World War II period, means from 1950 to 1970, in this 20 or more than 20-25 years, during this period, the plays that were written in such kind of plays that focused on the philosophy of existentialism especially, they were known as the theater of the absurd, or they are also known as absurd plays. Okay, they are known as absurd plays. So they focused on the philosophy of existentialism and absurdity, and they were written after World War II period. And it was French philosopher Albert Camus who gave this word absurd, who said in his essay The Myth of Sisyphus that human situation is meaningless, absurd, and devoid of purpose. He coined this term absurd. Okay, Albert Camus said this word absurd first of all, and he said that human life is absurd. So it is related to that existentialism, just like the existentialist philosophers said that human existence is purposeless, meaningless. Same is the case with Albert Camus saying as well, but he gave new word, that is absurd. And according to Eugene Ionesco, he is also a French philosopher, a French writer, and he is an existentialist as well. He said that absurd is that which has no purpose or goal or objective. Means absurd is something that has no purpose or that has no goal, that is known as absurd. So all these things are interrelated, interconnected with each other. So according to Albert Camus' essay The Myth of Sisyphus, human existence, human situation is meaningless, absurd, and devoid of purpose. That there is no purpose of human existence in this world. There is no meaning of human existence in this world, and human existence is absurd. Okay, this life is absurd in this world. And this term, this phrase, the theater of absurd, was coined by a critic, Martin Eslin, in his 19th essay entitled The Theater of the Absurd. This critic, Martin Eslin, wrote an essay in his 1960, and he entitled that essay, that book, as The Theater of the Absurd. And he said that the plays that are written after post World War II period, and they focused on this philosophy of existentialism and absurdity, they are known as the theater of the absurd. So this term, this phrase, was coined by Martin Eslin in 1960. So this is the theater of the absurd, that the plays, the dramas that were written after World War II, or between 1950 to 1970 or 75, and they specially focused on the philosophy of existentialism and absurdity. They are known as the theater of the absurd, or they are known as absurd plays. Okay, so we have now some famous examples of absurd playwrights and plays. First of all, we have Samuel Beckett, and he's a very famous absurdist writer. His play is Waiting for Godot, that is very much famous. Next one is Eugene Ionesco. His play is The Bold Soprano. We have Harold Pinter. He's also quite famous, and his some of his famous plays are The Room, The Birthday Party, The Caretaker, and The Homecoming. Another one is Tom Stoppard. His famous play is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. Another one is the American writer Edward Albee. His famous play is The Zoo Story. So it was all about the existentialism and the theater of the absurd, that what existentialism is, what the theater of absurd is. Okay, so now we have the characteristics of the theater of the absurd or absurd plays. That you know very well, I have already explained that the theater of absurd or absurd plays means those dramas, those plays that were written after World War II, and they focused on the philosophy of existentialism and absurdity. So the characteristics of absurd plays are, there are so many characteristics. The first one is absurd language. The language of such plays will be absurd. What does this word mean, absurd language? It means that there will be repetitions of dialogues. There will be repetition of dialogues. There will be so many pauses. If you have read Waiting for Godot or The Caretaker, you would have noticed these things uh, very much, that there are so many pauses, there are so many repetitious dialogues, there is silence as well. So many times there is silence, means there is lack of communication, or and there are some nonsense dialogues as well. Okay, these things are very much obvious in Waiting for Godot and The Caretaker. The second one is meaningless situations or meaninglessness of life. In such kind of plays, meaningless situations are there, or meaninglessness of life is shown in such kind of plays. The characters, uh, by their actions, by their dialogues, show that their life has no purpose at all. And the next one is that characters express deep frustration. Okay, the characters in such kind of plays express deep frustration. Why is that? Just because of World War II, because this kind of plays show the aftermaths of World War II in them. Okay, so that's why the characters suffered due to World War II. They express deep frustration. The next one is unrecognized characters or loss of identity. This thing is very much common in absurd plays. Okay, the characters, they are unrecognized characters, means they even do not uh, recognize themselves, or they do not even recognize their friends or the people that they meet regularly, or they have loss of identity, means they do not know themselves even. Okay, these things are also quite common in Waiting for Godot and The Caretaker. Like in Waiting for Godot, the two characters Estragon and Vladimir, they often ask about their identity. Same is the case with The Caretaker, in which Davies, who is a tramp, he does not have his identity papers, and he does not know about his own identity as well. Okay, so there is loss of identity in absurd plays. The next one is lack of movement, that there is no movement, there is no action in such kind of absurd plays, and this thing is also very much obvious in Waiting for Godot and The Caretaker. Okay, Estragon and Vladimir in Waiting for Godot, they remain at the same place throughout the play, and they do not move, they do not go to any other place. Then there is solitude and waiting. Okay, then there is loneliness in such kind of plays, there is waiting in such kind of plays, and even the title of Waiting for Godot suggests waiting, that there is waiting for a character that is named as Godot. Then there is absurd or unexplained ending. As the dramas are absurd, so their endings are also absurd or unexplained, means in such kind of plays the writers do not explain what happens at the end. Okay, just like in Waiting for Godot, the writer Samuel Beckett does not explain what happens at the end, whether Godot arrives or not. The main point of this drama is waiting for that character, that is Godo. And Astragan and Vladimir, they both, since the start of the play, keep waiting for this character Godo, but he does not arrive, and it is not explained in the end of the play that whether he arrives or not. Same is the case with the caretaker as well. In the caretaker, it is not explained that whether Davies remains at the home of Mick and Aston or he is expelled. These things are not mentioned in the end. So the absurd plays would have absurd or unexplained ending. The next one is lack of plot or loose plot. It means that such kind of plays, such kind of absurd plays do not have a strong plot. They have loose plot, means they do not have proper beginning, proper middle, and proper end. Okay, they lack plot, or the plot they have is very loose. Okay, that is not like traditional dramas, that is not strong like traditional dramas, and that is loose plot. It means it does not have proper beginning, proper middle, and proper end. So these were the characteristics of absurd plays or the theater of absurd. I hope you people would have got it. You can analyze the plays the caretaker and waiting for Godot in light of these characteristics as absurd plays. I hope you would have got it. If you still have any confusion, you can ask me. Thank you.